Good evening and welcome to hashtag Jeopardy Live Panel. This is the first regular episode of Season 2, presented by the JeopardyFan.com. Once again, I am Andy Saunders and I will be moderating this panel tonight. So, first up, I want to introduce the panel for this evening. As always, I do the first introduction of the founder of the JeopardyFan.com, Jeannie Kenkel. Thanks for joining us tonight, Jeannie.
Yeah, my pleasure always.
And so how much of the I know you've been in the midst of a I should say, what did you think of the tennis and how that ended up?
Oh, because last time we had a panel, I was watching the final, right?
Right, that's right. How
yeah. You know how I don't like how it turned out, probably. The men's final, anyway.
The men's final, you weren't you definitely not cheering for Novak, so.
No, not at all. But Roger said see you next year, so maybe next year.
Well, at least that means he's not retiring.
Yeah.
So
that's the important thing.
Yeah. So on this week's panel, I have two former Tournament of Champions winners, and two people who were at the studio this past week for this past week's episodes. First up, I have the most recent Tournament of Champions winner, Ben Ingram.
You call me the defending one. I have nothing to defend.
I
almost did.
I said most recent. I almost
okay.
said defending, and then I changed it to most recent. And then also the 2003 Tournament of Champions winner, Mark Dawson.
I think that one was in black and white. I'm not sure.
Yes, much like the Maple Leafs last Stanley Cup picture. And from this past week's worth of episodes, from Friday's episode, we have Tina Uline. Thanks for joining us, Tina. Glad you were able to get all the technical bugs sorted out. And also, she was a taping alternate. This past week, and her episode will be airing this coming Tuesday. We have May Kulkarni. So I'd like to thank all of you for joining us. I hinted at this to our panel earlier. I do have some somber and not so great news to open the season with. Something I found out over the summer, and I recently learned that over the summer, Meredith Robbins, she was a four-time champion from season 25, and she was the alternate at the 2009 Tournament of Champions. That was the one taped in Las Vegas, the one won by Dan Pawson. She passed away over the summer, unfortunately, at the age of 32. She was a favorite contestant of mine a few years ago, and her husband Dylan was also a contestant on the show back in October of 2010. And myself and the JeopardyFan.com wish to definitely offer our condolences to both Meredith as well as Meredith's family and friends, as well as her widower, Dylan. So it is a sad note to start things off, unfortunately. But on to the panel discussion, I guess. The story of the week. Turd Ferguson.
Did you ever think that you would say the story of the week was Turd Ferguson on one of these?
Nope, not in the slightest. May, Tina, you guys were there in the audience for it. How did the audience reaction happen, or how was the audience reaction? And did Maggie have any sort of reaction to it? Because I think some people were speculating in the bullpen, or speculating online, hint, Ben was speculating that Maggie was like, don't do that, while laughing hysterically. So how did Maggie react to it?
I don't remember Maggie really reacting badly. I mean, I could see her laughing about it though and saying, "Oh, don't do that," but laughing anyway. What I remember, I was actually more surprised by the hi mom thing, believe it or not, because they told us specifically before the taping, don't put any messages like that. I completely let the Turd Ferguson go, but I was surprised by the hi mom.
I didn't really. I think I got a laugh in the room at large, but I didn't really notice. I didn't really notice Maggie doing anything. Like I said, that was the show right before everybody breaks for lunch, so we were all hustled out of there immediately. And then Talia and went to the green room. So if Maggie scolded her, I didn't hear. I didn't even remember them saying not to put messages on the thing. But it did get a laugh, and according to Talia, during the credits rolling when they're all chatting, Alex asked her who Turd Ferguson was.
Oh,
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he'd know like the Connery stuff and maybe Suck It Trebek, or I don't know, but he didn't know either was like really dry and was playing her and he was just screwing with her, or he really didn't know. And she's like, it's the guy in the SNL skits about you. And so that's what Talia said that she said. So.
I feel sorry.
I heard that Alex appeared on the Saturday Night Live 40th anniversary where they made a reference to it, so I can't believe he didn't know.
Oh.
I think
he's just, screwing with her.
It sounds like Alex might have been putting her on, but
yeah, so.
Well, I think that's part of the deal is you can get away with more if you act like you don't know what the meaning behind what you're doing is. But I think it was a wonderful thing for them. They could have retaped that, done a pickup or anything they wanted to do, because when Alex reads it, he's not on screen. So they can do pickups to fix things however they want to. So anything that went on the air was because the producers decided that they thought it was worth going for, and I think they made a great decision. I mean, it's a lot of free publicity.
Did you pick up a Final Jeopardy? Because I remember that person feigning, and hey puppy, but someone literally fainted. And they did not pick that up because they figured, hey, what if this person keeps feigning until they come up with a clue that she gets right?
Right.
So
I thought of that.
I should have thought of that.
I don't think that they would change the answer because all that standards and practices stuff, whatever the answer is going to be the answer. But they can change what he reads. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're getting at.
And well, I mean, I guess if you if they decided to, if that was a thing where they could pick it up, I mean, you could just write a profanity down every single time you don't know the answer until they give you a question you know. So,
I think in that case they could disallow the answer entirely. In this case, I think they thought it was okay. You know what I'm saying? If they got judges there.
Yeah. I'm thinking that, I mean, obviously, if you were going to write a profanity down, they'd probably just, blank out your screen.
They put, like, the things that, gosh, what am I thinking of? They blur your answer out, in other words, Andy.
Pixelate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, your answer
They do
would be
something with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't write bad words on Jeopardy, guys.
Oh, heck no. That's
Yeah,
the worst thing.
Yeah, if you're watching from the comfort of your own home, don't write bad words on Jeopardy. Just don't do it. Not even turd or whatever it was she wrote. I don't think my grandmother liked it very much.
It's funny that the reaction where I'm from, because I'm from St. Louis, so Ferguson has a totally different meaning, and a lot of people around here are saying she's racist. Oh yeah, they think it's a reference to the city of Ferguson.
Oh, that's.
I didn't know what Turd Ferguson was either, except that there was a guy on J-Board with that name. I didn't know that it was anything else until this week.
Yeah, it was the SNL skit thing, and
So that's where he got his J-board name.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think it's surprising that where I grew up, Jeopardy aired on a CBS station. When I went to college, it aired on ABC station, and where I live now, which is outside of Charlotte, it's on an NBC station. Saturday Night Live comes on NBC. But now that I say that, I take it back. What she wrote didn't have anything to do with NBC. It had to do with Turd and Ferguson. So it wasn't necessarily a promotion for Saturday Night Live, but I recall someone on The Price is Right coming down wearing an American Idol shirt, and I'm like, I'm surprised they let that person on. Comes on a different channel. So there's also that at play, but again, they let it go. And maybe more people will watch the show to see if more Turds or Fergusons will come up.
I will say that SNL is now following Talia on Twitter.
Oh, wow.
So that's kind of cool.
That is
And
cool.
apparently, Jeopardy is also following Talia on Twitter, much to the chagrin of Mike Duvall, who and I'm sure he'll enjoy the show that we just got from us.
Yeah.
By the way, if you have any comments for us, of course you can use the hashtag Jeopardy Live Panel, and I'll hashtag Jeopardy Live Panel, and then I will, assuming I find it appropriate, I'll probably end up reading it out on the panel. So,
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
How's
okay, so let's see here. Moving on to, I guess, talking about Talia a little more. There were some comments on Reddit and other spots on the internet, some incredibly dense questions, I thought. I think one person asked, is Talia a plant?
Oh.
Like, was she planted on the show, like, to be like, yeah, let's play this for laughs? But, like, I mean, the dense people on the internet aside, I mean, yes, she had some, obviously she had some issues. She had some difficulty with the buzzer. That was obvious to me. How did you guys all feel seeing some of the comments on the internet about her?
I've read. I mean, saying she's dense is probably one of the nicer things that I've read about her, because I've read, I mean, some horrible stuff. Look at YouTube comments.
Yeah.
She's not a
Really
dense
makes me
person.
not really look forward to Tuesday, I'll say that.
Yeah, she's not a dense person. I mean, she wouldn't have made it on the show if she was. And if she was a plant, they kept it from all of us. But she was really nervous.
And by the way,
Really
she's really like that. That's just how she is. She's a little,
Yeah, she's
out of left.
very.
She seems like the kind of person who wears her heart on her sleeve, and obviously she takes it, she takes the game very seriously, and I'm sure she.
But then when it got to the point where she had 600 going into the final, she was just like, heck with it, let's have fun. And I
Exactly.
kind of got to respect that.
Yeah. I mean, I was watching her on Wednesday, and my instincts were, wow, that's I wish she were having a better game, because she really looked like she could have done very well.
I find that people get super irritated when the interview portion makes it so that clues get left on the board. I mean, I'm not telling you guys anything. Sorry.
I don't think that dog likes it either when they leave clues up on the board.
Clearly, May's dog is Team
Sausage.
61.
I think May's dog must be named Blue because he's upset that the clues got left.
Yeah.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying there's a lot of blue left on the board. That's one way of putting it.
Sorry. She barks whenever there are dogs on TV, and she barks when there are cartoon dogs on TV. I don't know. Anyway.
So, yeah, you were saying about...
I think that people get irritated when, like, quirks of personality, they attribute leaving clues on the board to quirks of personality. And it's not a valid thing, it's not a causal thing, because, they edit that stuff, and they, it's not an exact timed round. But I think that people get aggravated at that. And I mean, I used to be one of those people. So when I got, that when I finally came back and I was talking to one of my friends about it. I was like, no. I completely come the other way around on this. It is fine if clues get left on the board. You don't know how it is. And so, it's a different perspective on this side of it. For sure.
Yeah, we paid to watch this show. Now show us all the clues.
That's right. I mean, I want 2-1 questions, damn it. But it doesn't work out that way. And they leave the clues that you want to see, like musical theater and stuff.
Oh my God, yes. My husband complains about that all the time.
Hey.
Liz complained about that yesterday, or 2 days ago, whenever that was on, or a couple days. However long ago that was. Clues were left on the board.
There was the British Royal Houses and musical theater, and they got the British Royal Houses, but they left some musical theater clues, and I was like, dang it.
I wanted those royal houses, and I got them. I got what I paid for.
Well, good. I'm glad.
Which is nothing.
And
I have an
I got to say about the Royal Houses one, not that I'm a better loser or anything, but I think Natalie got away with that House of Norman. They shouldn't let that one go.
Should it have been Normandy? I said Normandy.
Yes, it's House of Normandy, and they let it go with Norman, and they even commented on it
At the time.
Well, I was right.
Again, I think he could have gone either way. I don't know.
Well, whatever. Nothing about turd or anything.
Moving on, I guess, to our next segment. I think it's a good time to go into this week in Jeopardy history. I know, obviously, I haven't talked about it during the tournament of panelists, but coming back, now that regular games are back on, 10 years ago this week was an important, I guess, match in Jeopardy history. David Madden came back on the Monday, making his attempt at win number 20. Only one person before him had done so, obviously Ken Jennings. However, he ran into a buzzsaw known as Victoria Gross. She had some style, that's for sure. She played like she had a lot of experience from a summer of preparation, but she had a late game $7,800 true daily double. And she got it right, and it put her into a lead that she would not relinquish. And one thing I noticed looking back, there was some shade from J-Archive, because I looked up the game in the archive earlier, and it seemed like David knew that when Victoria hit that daily double, his days were numbered, because the archive actually reads, David claps slowly and unhappily. So,
I'm sorry, repeat that again. David did what?
David claps slowly and unhappily. That is in the J-Archive description of that game when Victoria hit her important daily double.
Well, I can vouch for the fact that Victoria Gross is no.
Mark, your microphone cut out. Sorry.
Sorry. I've known Victoria Gross for a long time. I haven't seen her in a number of years, but she's no slouch. She's been around a long time. And she's a pro. So if she beat him, that's just the way the game goes. You're going to walk into some of those people sometimes. Good players have to play good players, you know.
Oh yeah, I mean.
Yeah. That might have been what happened with Talia.
Yeah.
Came up against some good players and wrote Turd Ferguson, and she works for a magazine and she knows people, and now she's famous.
Yeah.
And stepping back to that for just a second, I'd say that the comments that I read on just the regular comments were actually quite nice about how funny that was and getting Alex's goat. So, I mean, there's always trolls out there on the internet. I try not to worry about what they've got to say. But yeah, even in my Tournament of Champions final, it was the three players that were playing. We were all good players, but the guy in the middle got almost just because he was just in a bad spot on a bad day. And we covered the board, and we didn't leave him anything. So sometimes players look worse than they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely seem to recall. It was Eric Floyd, right?
Exactly.
Who was the third person? Yeah, you and Brian were. It was a 2-horse race, and you both just left Eric in the dust.
And Eric's a quality player. He got a question on some artist that I couldn't tell you the guy's name right now. And I know a lot of art, and I would never have gotten that question. Eric's a quality player, but yeah, he was an afterthought in that final.
Mm-hmm.
That buzzer, man. That buzzer will do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mentioned elsewhere that the most frustrating feeling is not being able to signal. I can vouch for that. Last
Tina,
couple
how do
games
you
I
feel
played, I
about the
couldn't
buzzer?
signal. No, I mean it. In the second to last and last game I played in the double Jeopardy round of each, I just had a hard time signaling. I couldn't get in, and I was visibly frustrated. You could see me throwing my head back. So it's not a pleasant thing. But Turd Ferguson.
Tina, I
You
know you
almost
can.
slipped that one by me, Ben.
What,
And-
Turd
and
Ferguson?
Yes.
Going back to that, I never think of things like that to say. I'm always so focused on trying to figure out what the damn answer is that
Yeah.
cute answers never occur to me. They just don't. So I tip my cap to anybody who has a sense of humor when they're in the middle of all that.
So Tina, I mean, obviously, you can speak to the buzzer just like Ben can speak to buzzer frustration. You went up against Natalie, and she's obviously a strong player. And I
Yes.
mean, how did you feel about the buzzer generally?
Well, I was surprised a lot of times that I didn't get in. I was informed by a friend of mine that when she watched it, she noticed that every time I didn't get called on, I would look at my buzzer and then look at the contestant who got called, like, you bitch. But I don't know. I mean, it was really frustrating because I thought I was getting in just as soon as he finished reading the clue, but she was just doing better, and I'm not going to begrudge her that. She had that buzzer down, and we knew that in rehearsal.
Yeah.
We knew she was scary.
Oh yeah, scary good. Interestingly enough, earlier in the week, Audrey Watkins Fox won her games, but she was not great in rehearsal on the buzzer. I think she found her groove while she was
Well
playing.
played, us.
Found
That
her-
bitch.
Well,
I
I
mean,
don't know that.
Yeah.
One of those two things.
wait.
I was giving her the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I can't stand them. Hey, one thing. Remember the old Jeopardy book that was written in the 80s or sometime? I recall reading in that. It's on my shelf. I don't want to get up to get it because this computer's on my lap. But I recall there being a red light on the old podium that would come on if you signaled early. But this was the 80s. This is before any of us was ever born.
You'd have to ask Jerome or somebody from
Which one, Ben?
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say Andy went to go grab the book, I think.
Yeah, I got one of those for $5 in New York City, or so it was in the basement someplace on the island. But there was something that said you would know if you was early or not, and I didn't know that there was no such thing as that anymore until I read Mike Dupé's thing.
Yeah, Maggie comes and tells you if you're early a bunch. That's usually what happens during the break. But I mean, it's just during the break.
Mm-hmm.
But she tells the person or people who are trailing. So maybe Tyler. I called her Turd. Maybe Turd got that advice.
Burt Reynolds, by the way.
Oh yeah, Burt Reynolds. That's not my name. Turd Ferguson.
Yep.
Are you looking it up, Andy?
I'm trying to.
Yeah.
I'm just looking through this book here to see. I mean, there's tons of information about buzzer frustration in the old Alex Trebek book, but nothing that I can find on that. But I mean, it.
Gosh, I can't remember where. I must have seen it in there.
It probably is. I just can't find it. So I haven't had a look through that book from for a while. But also, I kind of want to know your kind of thought process on the Daily W you got, Tina.
Oh, God. I don't, I keep thinking to myself, and I don't know what I was thinking because it was such a broad category, and I didn't really want to bet so much. And the 2000 just came out. I have no idea where it came from, but I was looking at the scores up there, and I think it's just I want to catch up. I need to catch up, and I blew it, and it's really stupid because I know Alan Turing, not personally, but I know who he is. And I had just had a conversation the other day about AI with a friend of mine, and it's like, how could I not know that? But no, I was, at that point, I was desperate. I really was. I got desperate pretty quickly.
And to be honest, I think that seems to be something that, do you think, I should say, do you think people could learn from that in terms of, I guess, realizing that you could get, if things don't go your way early on, that maybe that you could feel desperate and not to worry too much about it, I guess. That's kind of convoluted, but
I mean, I think that's hard to do. I remember reading Bob Harris's book, and he's just like, if you get one wrong, it'll mess you up for the next couple of days, and you've got to. It's hard to shake it off. And that's just getting one wrong. But I mean, coming from behind, it's a similar circumstance. You're just kind of in that zone, and you've got to catch up, and that's the thing that's foremost in your brain instead of the hand in the category and thinking that through.
If that happens, that is just adds to your difficulty in coming up with the correct answer.
Yep.
Those sorts of blocks, you have to have clarity as best you can.
Yep.
And I'm a perfectionist, and I hate doing things wrong, so I just obsess over mistakes. And that daily double, it took the wind out of my sails, and I was so scared to answer other clues that I wasn't 100% on, even though I actually did have the right answer. I just didn't want to risk it. So
natural. It happened.
It killed me.
It happened to me in my last game a little bit too. There was one. They ran through a category where I can't think of the clue, but the clue was kind of a red herring clue, and I buzzed in and I fell for the red herring. And then after that, there were easy clues that none of us were buzzing in on because we didn't want to risk it. One of them even being Montreal Island, and
Yeah.
we're like looking.
Look up that clue because I remember what you're talking about.
Yeah. And Colby and I were looking at each other. Well, we didn't look at each other then, but we were talking about it. It's like neither one of us was going to buzz in on that after. Now my name won't come to me right now, but after Chuck missed it, we weren't guessing. Didn't matter.
Yeah.
Because it just felt like there were some red herrings in there.
Yeah.
Once bitten, twice shy.
Yeah.
exactly, that makes perfect sense.
That's it.
So, I mean, obviously, Natalie's run has started very strongly. Obviously, May, you have some sort of idea about what happens, but I don't want you to get into that. Please don't spoil anything for us. I don't want anyone to get into trouble.
No.
But I do want to ask you, and if you try to keep this specific to how you felt leaving the studio after day one. How did it feel leaving the studio after the first day, knowing that Natalie was the champion, and there'd be a good chance as carryover that you'd be facing her the next day? How did that feel?
I felt nicely because during all the practices that first day, I was absolute crap on that buzzer. I did not get it to save my life, and I felt like, am I even human? Do I actually have thumbs? What's happening? And so then we got it. Ford and I were the two rollovers to the next day. And when we didn't get picked for Friday's game, we were just fine. I mean, it was just like all of a sudden we just got to relax knowing that we'd have till the next day. And yeah, Natalie was very tough. And the thing that scared me most was not did she know more than any of us did, because we all sat in the audience, in that little on the side right there where all the contestants are. And we're all, they tell you don't yell out the answers, but we're all nerded up. We're all whispering the answers to each other under our breath, we know that we all know. You know, but there's not a stupid person in that group. But she was so on that buzzer, that's what was freaking me out. So I go home, or I go back to the hotel, and I'm like texting everybody, if I blow this, it's going to be a buzzer issue. I mean, 100%. I was just like, this is it. I just don't have. Why didn't I play video games and sports more? Why don't I have hand-eye coordination? What is wrong with me? But you know, like I was having that freak out because she was so fast on the buzzer. But about feeling like she was outpacing me by an order of magnitude or anything in terms of what she knew. No, I didn't feel that way. I mean, it's all the luck of the draw at some point anyway, because we're all going to have. Well, I guess a thing I heard was that they try to write the questions so that at least two of you know what the answer is, and that there is a battle for the buzzer. But and so beyond that, it's just going to be what's that other third of stuff that you know that they don't. Mm-hmm. But that's the part that was scaring me, the buzzer.
I wonder how much of the buzzer has to do with playing video games. Because I didn't play that many growing up. I read books.
Well, I mean, I was at that point just desperate for anything that might have been, like, what did I do in my life that didn't give me an edge? I wish I had meditated more, quite frankly, because I could have achieved some sort of zen-like state. That would have helped me too, but, it is what it is.
I just wish I'd studied African geography.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I knew that I would blow that, so I studied that. I mean, geography in general, but probably not like. I could have probably gone through a single Jeopardy geography category and maybe had some issues with a double Jeopardy round geography category, let's say. So.
Now, one other question specifically to May here. I know you were very public about your quest to get on the show, especially with your Jet Prep stuff, and a few people on Jeopardy Twitter I know kind of followed you through your audition through to your getting the call and through the taping. And do you think that being public with your preparations helped you at all?
I don't think it helped or hurt. I think it just was what it was. 10 years ago I was on Millionaire, and that one was, and it was what it was. I blew an ice skating question and won $1,000 and bought a mattress, which is upstairs. But
someone after Ben's heart, I think.
Darn right.
Yeah. And,
I remember watching you. That's where I remember your name from. So.
Yeah. But that was like, I mean, I think I got over at that point I got over just, other people's expectations of how you're going to do and how that affects you and stuff like that. And it was just like, whatever, dude, you didn't do it, I did, so fine, And it was fun to see what other people were doing, to prepare for, what they were phoning up on and doing all the, everybody did the same thing. You read all the blogs, you're like, these are the things that come up the most. These are the categories that come up the most. These are the things that you need to know. And even if you study all those things, you may not get, it still may be more obscure than that. So it is what it is. But I don't think it really, I think it was just fun. And I'd like people to use the Jet Prep hashtag more. I think people should say what they're doing to prepare. I have many, many podcasts now that I got into just for that, because it was just like I was doing a lot of driving during that month between getting the call and taping. And so it was a passive way to sort of absorb some information. And it actually helped. A couple of the podcasts, one of the podcasts I listened to was on Philo Farnsworth, which was a clue that came up in one of the in one of this week's games. Mm-hmm. And I listened to that actually on the plane on the way. So, whatever you do, and you can, we're all into that stuff, so, if you find a fun way to just learn more stuff, then why not share it?
Mm-hmm. You know what's weird about that Philo Farnsworth one, which is a great name for a dog, by the way, Philo Farnsworth. When it came up, I was mistaken. I made a comment on Reddit earlier, and you say that no one makes it on the show who isn't dumb, but some people make it on Reddit who are pretty dumb. I said that there were 3 inventors of television. I was thinking of Philo Farnsworth, Vladimir Zworykin, and John Logie Baird, but I think Philo was the first inventor of electronic television. But still, that's a tough $2,000 clue. Talia missed it, and then she wrote Turd Ferguson on her final Jeopardy, and it went viral. So that was a hard clue. That was a hard clue, but like you just said, it just depends what clues come up on your given day. There's only 61 of them. That ain't many.
Had that been mine, my mind would have flashed to, eating peanuts on Delta and been like, I know this. Okay. But,
It's funny how you remember stuff, just like Bob Harris said. You mentioned him.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Now, speaking of contestant experiences, I mean, obviously Andy's not with us today, but Andy from the Chicago area, he had a bit of a whirlwind experience. I'm not sure if any of you guys if he told any of you guys this, or he put it, or or anyone put 2 and 2 together. But basically, he was the contestant who tried out for in Chicago. The next day on Windy City Live, he got the call, and he was out taping 9 days later. And so, basically, that sort of abbreviated timeline for him, knowing that most of you waited significantly longer to get on the show, do you think it helped or hindered him to get the call so quickly, so to say, or so close to taping?
I would have been ill about it. I would have wanted more time to prepare.
I think it depends on where you are in your life, too, sometimes. I mean, the first time I took the show, tried out for the show and passed, I was pretty ready to play. I mean, it wasn't that long since I'd been playing. But then when I finally got on, I hadn't even thought about any sort of quiz bowl or bar trivia or any of that stuff in so long that I kind of limped through my regular games. I was very lucky to have made it to my 5 regular games. But then I had a year to study. So when I went in for my Tournament of Champions, knowing I was going to be in it, I had plenty of time to prepare, and I was in a much different frame of reference. So I think for most people, if they're going to prepare, then the more time you get, the better off you are. Good point, frankly.
No, for me, that just meant I had stress.
Yeah.
I had 2 months, and I didn't do a thing before the first time I went on, but before the second time I went on, I had almost as long as you had, Mark. I had a little over, or about a year and a half, and I worked pretty hard that year and a half, but the first 2 months I did not. I'm glad I had that time to sort of mentally prepare myself and just hit the archive a bunch of times, but I didn't hit the weight room, or by hitting the weight room, I mean learn new things. But 9 days, I personally would not want 9 days.
No. I think you need a month just to get your speed back up, not to learn new stuff, but just to get sort of your recall speed back up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, obviously, I have a feeling, considering how the panel answered the first half of this, I'm going to pose this to you guys anyway. Do you think the show should do something like this more often? I guess, with Windy City Live, they, do an audition and then give one person the call straight away. What do you guys think?
I mean, if they were doing like a videotape of what it's like to go through that, I mean, or some sort of TV program, then maybe. But if I don't quite get how it fits in with any sort of promotional anything.
I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting because it gives the people from Chicago sort of a rooting interest. Chicago's a pretty big television market. I think it's top 10 or top 5 or something like that. Gives those millions of potential viewers a means of tuning in. Or if you go out to Florence, South Carolina, I think there's like 50,000 television sets there. They probably wouldn't do a thing like that because that's not a big a market. But I think it's neat for the show. I'm pretty sure it's stressful for the contestant, but if I were the potential contestant, I would just be so stoked, be ready to go on the show anyway, that I wouldn't care if it was 9 days or 60 days. So I'm speaking in, and I think we're all speaking in retrospect here. We're glad we had that time, but if they had wanted me to go on tomorrow, I would have done it. Turd Ferguson.
if they called me to be there tomorrow, I would be there. Let's put it to you that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No question.
I would do it too.
Mhm.
Are you saying that it was announced before the guy taped, though, that he was going to be on the show? Is that what you mean, Ben?
Before the guy taped, or what? What's
Yeah.
that?
When they told him he was going to be
Is that
That's how we found out he was going to be on the show.
I thought that show was live. That local show in Chicago. I think
that
it
was
was
live.
live. Was it not? Yeah, it was live.
Oh.
So he literally had 9 days.
Yeah. Yeah. He literally had 9 days in between audition and taping. And
but the world knew that. That's what I'm asking. Because it was on TV, right?
yes, the world
When
knew.
he-
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah. This was like people in Chicago had someone to pull for.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this guy's gonna be on Jeopardy in 9 days.
hmm
Yeah. Huh.
I don't know. I kind of wish they'd come to Toronto and do that, but
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice?
You
I
would
hope so,
want that,
too.
Andy? You'd want to be on his 9 days warning?
I could do it on 9 days warning.
Really? You would do?
Yeah.
Okay.
I could do Jeopardy on 9 days warning.
I
and
mean,
be
if the
fine.
choice is 9 days or not going, yeah, 9 days.
Yeah.
No, I know. But is that,
Yeah,
I mean,
9
would you
days or
want a
something.
month or would you be okay with 9 days the same?
I'd be equally fine with it. I mean,
You'd be fine with 9 days?
I'd be fine with 9 days.
Okay.
I think you'd be a 9 days wonder. I think you would. I mean, if they can take all those people
Yeah.
off the beaches in Dunkirk in 9 days, I'm pretty sure you can be ready to go on a televised quiz game in 9 days.
Let's put it this way: if Jeopardy called me right now, we're taping this podcast, and said we want you on the show Tuesday, I would be okay to go on the show Tuesday. But
Well, that's not going to happen. We've not set you up.
true.
Maybe tomorrow,
But,
though. You're in the pool, so get ready.
Yeah, that might be interesting. Speaking of the next time we're on, the next time we're on is probably going to be Thursday night, which is from what I've
Thursday?
been from. It's very likely going to be Thursday evening, the 24th. It has not been confirmed yet, but I would say it's about 90% sure it's going to be Thursday. I probably just sprang that on Jeannie without telling her first. I'm sorry, but
Well, you kind of hinted earlier, so that's fine.
okay. But yeah, it's I figured it would be a good segue considering we were talking about. Well, let's see. When will Jeopardy call? But yeah, we're at the point of the episode where if anyone has any questions for any other panelists, now would be a great time to ask. And
I'll ask. Oh, y'all go ahead. Y'all
no,
go ahead.
I was about to move on, so please go.
So I asked my usual question. What did y'all have for lunch? But never mind.
I don't even remember. I wish there was a shot of something in the beverage, but other than that, I don't remember.
So you said you had the veal, Tina?
The BLT.
Oh, the BLT. Okay.
Yes.
So not potato wedges, Ben. Sorry.
I can't believe you remembered that. Thank you.
Potato wedges?
I had nothing but potato wedges, but we can talk about that later.
How did that? Actually, I think that was a. I think looking back on it, I think Audrey shouldn't have eaten lunch. I think it just dropped her, jacked her blood sugar around and lost on Thursday. I really think that it's such a bummer that you got to have that break between the Wednesday and Thursday show. So if I were, I mean, obviously hindsight being 20/20, I don't think she should have eaten lunch.
I have a story about that, actually. I don't know that I've told this to you guys, but I have a whole regimen thing about all this preparation stuff. It's a lot more than just mental, a lot of it's physical stuff. And part of it stems from when I was on my original shows, the guy who was on the show before I had my show won, a guy named Francis Grant. He later won a couple $100,000 on Millionaire. We went to lunch, and they gave us a voucher, and he got like a hamburger with chili and cheese and all this really fatty stuff, French fries and the whole bit, and ate all this crap right before he went on stage. And when it came to his Final Jeopardy, it was something about clearly it was old movies or classic movies, and the clue was about Metropolis. So he wrote, "Who is Fritz?" Couldn't come up with Lang, and he lost because of that. And I feel certain to this day that it's because of what he ate at lunch. And I found that in the Tournament of Champions, everyone was eating a banana and a half salad and some chicken soup and stuff like that, and nobody was eating anything fatty. And I really think that the people who think about how they prepare, they don't just go in there and eat a whole bunch of crap at lunch. So that's my advice to you: don't overeat.
Well, I don't think she overate. I just think she had I was sitting with her. She had a sandwich and chips, but I think the bread and the chips, the carbs just.
I stay away from the bagels. I stay away from the bagels. I stay away from the fat when I'm there, and that's what I would advise anybody. Have some protein, have some complex carbs, maybe a little caffeine, not much.
I mean, it's like you're about to go to the gym. That's what you want to eat like. I guess.
That's right.
Yeah. Just like those commercials, eat more chicken.
Yeah. I'd like to point out that half of us are Southerners right here.
Yeah, but
I would like to point out, yeah, that's right. We have 3 people from the
Southern.
I am. I'm in Macon, Georgia right now.
no, you are. I went out to sales for high school.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're the one that everybody. Okay, let's try to tell me about. That's right. Okay.
Do you know Sister Grace Marie has an audience with the Pope?
Yeah.
Wow. Anyway, and then what else was I going to say about that? Yeah, I'm in Atlanta now, and perhaps being Southerner is why I won my first game. I was telling you I kind of was very lucky to even win my first game. And the story there is that the woman in first place, we get to Final Jeopardy. It's astronomer's dictionary is the question. They wanted to know. This word comes from the Greek for circle of animals.
Well, it's Chick-fil-A. What is turd? Oh my God! Get a circle of animals together.
Clearly, it's zodiac, which I wrote down with 2 O's. Zodiac. They get credit anyway. And the woman in first place got it right too, but she didn't bet enough to cover. And so I asked her why, and she said, "Well, I didn't think you'd know it."
Because you were Southern and you sounded like what?
I don't know. I don't know if that's why. I don't want to put words in her mouth there, but that was my presumption. Why would you say you wouldn't think I would know it,
Well, gosh darn it, you did.
I did. I knew all about that astronomer.
You suck it now. No, I'm just kidding.
And I did better at ciphering than she did, too.
That's right. You figured up your sums right.
Now what?
So I was very lucky to win that game.
Wow, I didn't think you'd know it.
You didn't think what?
Sorry, my head is currently exploding at her comment of, I didn't think you... Wow, okay. I'm not going to lie, Mark, that is the Jeopardy equivalent of, nobody's ever going to need more than 640K on your computer.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's good to be underestimated sometimes, I guess.
It is good to be underestimated sometimes, absolutely.
Oh, boy.
That's what I used to coach my teams. When I was playing college bowl, it would be, don't ever talk bravado. Beat them and get the hell out of there before they realize what happened. That's
Good plan.
Oh, man.
Poor Andy.
So on that note, one, I'm glad I don't have a Turd Ferguson counter going. 2, I want to wish May the best of luck. I have some. I will say I have some. I'm not gonna drink champagne, but I do have sparkling grape juice on ice, waiting for Tuesday. So.
Thank you.
I'm gonna have a beer before the day.
Champagne
But,
or at least something with bubbles.
I might have to break out a Rolling Rock for that.
Right on.
Yes.
Right on.
So
Mark
yes,
Dawson.
make sure you watch Tuesday. May is going to be on, and I want to get you on again so that we can talk to you kind of a post airing sort of thing as well. So thank you very much. Also, thanks to Tina. I mean, it's too bad it didn't work out for you. Obviously, only one out of every three people wins a game of Jeopardy these days. So.
I wish I'd known Mark's story before I went on. I would have gone in with my best Southern drawl. I don't let everyone know I was.
And once again, thanks to Mark and Ben. It's always great to get you guys in here sharing some past war stories. Wow,
Yeah,
we went up to the 50-minute mark tonight, but I want to let's get the credit cards up because I actually am doing these again, so I might as well. So thank you guys for tuning in, either live or on the rerun later at thejeopardyfan.com. To Jeannie and all of the panelists, May, Mark, Tina, and Ben. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. I'll see you for the Tournament of Panelists final, very likely Thursday evening.
Good luck,
Thanks
May.
for tuning in.
Thank you.
Have a great night.